How do you know if my mic's working?
Because it comes up there. Anyway,
Okay.
you can edit that bit helpful. So, welcome to another edition of Muscle Tan TV and the NABBA podcast. And in my endeavour to bring some relevant content to the page and to give myself some credibility, I've had to invite somebody who's credible. So, today's podcast is going to be what's going to be known as a NABBA Legends. And I needed a suitable legend, and I use that phrase way too often, but in this case, he really is. Paul Sutton, somebody who's competed at every level there is. So, Paul, for those people that are going to be watching this who maybe haven't heard of you, don't know who you are, just give yourself a little introduction. Tell them who you are, what you do. Let's start with what you've won.
Yeah, right. My name is Paul Sutton. Been bodybuilding for 40 years, competing for 40 years. Started training a few years before that. I'm 59 now. So first competed in 84. Done all the different federations. The last 20 years, really, I'd say I've stuck with NABBA. I think, like everyone will tell you, the history is with NABBA. The toughest competition is with NABBA in the amateur game. I've climbed the ladder from, shall I say, being at Northwest, Britain's, Europe's, World's, won the world 3 times.
Yeah.
And luckily, I think that's a fair word, I've won the universe 5 times.
So look, I suppose you can't say luck because you've got to bring a physique.
Yeah, they're saying the first one might be luck, might be fluke. Second one maybe a bit of luck as well, but I suppose
you've won that 5 times.
Yeah.
That must put you up there. There's not many people won 5 universes, is there?
I believe there's Eddie Elwood, Eddie Cowick. I dare say they were pro, so I will say a different level again. I suppose the biggest title winner's got to be John Citrone. I'm not sure. I think it might be 8 or 9 times, wasn't it, John? Won universe, because I dare say, I started at 19 competing. I wasn't, luckily, I seem to have spent many years in the building sculpting phase, and it took me, I would say to the through the end of the 90s to sort of reach me what I thought was a decent physique. So building and sculpting.
So when you started, you first competed
84.
84?
Yes.
How old were you then, mate?
19.
19 years old?
Ironically, around the corner from your house.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
So Paul's done me the privilege of, I say we're local, we're in the same county, right? Yeah. So we're in Cheshire. And I rang him up and I said, look, I want to do this NABBA Legends podcast. I'd really love you to jump on this if you, and he's like, yeah, great. And I've come to you, and he's took the time out of his day to come and sit in my kitchen and drink coffee with me. So I am absolutely on a high with this already. It's not just the caffeine, and it's just you were saying that the first show you'd ever done was round the corner from where we are. We were in like Norley.
Yeah, sadly it's been flattened now, but
as many things have.
I say I'm from a village called Weavering.
Just round the corner, yeah.
The actual little nightclub. Is, say, round the corner towards Delamere Forest.
Yeah.
You know the big motorbike shop on the corner?
Yeah.
Just up the road. And the car house is still there.
I don't know if it is, because it's...
Just up the road from there used to be a nightclub called Four Ways.
There was... right, so was that on the corner? It wasn't the pub, was it?
No, that's
because you got Four Ways is the garage place, is the motorbike place. Yeah.
Yes, they're saying the Abbey Arms on the corner.
Yeah, on the Abbey Arms is on the corner there.
In between there was a nightclub, and then there's a set of court buildings.
Right.
And there's a garage.
It's there.
Petrol station, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
a little nightclub there, and it was an evening in Friday night in February 1984. I had 3 weeks prep for that. I've got to tell you, I say silly, funny stories, but silly stories as well. 3 weeks prep.
Yeah.
A guy owned a gym in Winsford.
Yeah.
And he's run this comp, and he said to me, you got 3 weeks, get ready. He said, probably best prep you can do, lose a bit of fat, eat as much boiled fish and boiled chicken as you can. Next thing, and nothing else.
Nothing, just go on.
My mum cooked it me, thank bless her soul. Oh, stunk of fish and chicken.
It's not a good look, mate.
And as I say, that was my first comp. I managed to come third in that out of 5, so that gave me if you like, an incentive to keep going. You know what I mean?
It gives you the drive.
Yeah,
you've got the bug now.
I'm sure you've heard of Roger Shelley.
Yeah, of course.
I say a legendary man in my life in bodybuilding. He was there that night taking photos, and he had some kind words.
Yeah,
he was a great man. He is a great man, Roger is. Yeah, that was the first one, mate.
84.
84. I'm getting old.
It's the experience that I like, experience, and you have got a lot of experience. So that was for 3 weeks prep. How did you get on?
I say I come third.
Third out of 5. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because I said I've trained a couple of years. We actually trained in the guy's double garage in one of his back garden back then.
Right.
But say we had a makeshift gym.
Like everybody did in COVID.
A pulley attached to the ceiling in corner.
Yeah.
For your back is and and some builders trestles.
Yeah.
That was your squat stand.
Boom.
It worked.
Simple but effective.
Yeah. So I trained a couple of years. Trained probably 3 times a week just then.
Yeah. And what was the next one after that then? So you was like thinking, I've got a bit of a bug for this.
Yeah, next one was about a year or so later in Northwich.
Yeah.
There was a gym down there, Northwich Health and Leisure it was called. They held a comp and I came second in that. I can't remember, it was about 8 or 9 in the the class that day. A little bit more, obviously better preparation. But the preparation then was, say back in them days, you hope to learn from guys in the gym around you.
Which it was, very much so.
I say, had not competed before. The guy at Winsford had, and we went to talk to him a couple of times. I'm stuck here, mate. Hang on.
Yeah.
We, I say about 8 and 9 that competition that day.
Yeah.
There was, you'll know the name Gary Shelmadine.
Of course, yeah.
The guy, his brother James.
Yeah.
It's James that day. James won the day. Fair play to him. With a great physique. I say that was that one. And then I think, year after that. No, I think I had 2 years and I'd moved to Warrington then. I'd met my wife, Denise.
Right.
Moved to Warrington and started training. Now I'm missing bits out here, mate. My memory's not good getting old.
But you've got the bug at this point, clearly. You're thinking, you're fired up because it was a very different landscape bodybuilding back then, right? I mean, mine's sort of late 90s, early 2000s when I was first sort of really exposed to bodybuilding. And it was at that point, much bigger stage. Yeah. But even then, we used to have little regionals, little local shows that we'd all go, as we go to our local gyms where we trained. Like we say, the knowledge came from being in the right gyms, didn't it? Around the guys that were competing at the higher level. And if you were lucky, then you get a bit of that knowledge. Well, you wasn't really lucky. If you got to earn the respect and you trained hard, the lads were happy to pass it on and happy to help you work through and compete at another level. But from where you're at, like it was totally different again. You've got little regionals, little shows, and you're like, right, I'm going to beat him. Next one, where's the next show?
Like you say, back in them days, no internet.
No, of course, clearly not. No.
If you're lucky to see the muscle news on the shelf in the shop once a month, you get some knowledge from that. I guess I didn't do enough looking out. I just kept training hard,
just keep going to your bit.
10 of us in the gym.
Right.
It wasn't a little gym we were at, which became, from the double garage, became a pub cellar.
Yeah.
We trained in there for a couple of years. And that was before I moved to Warrington, shall I say. The gym there, then, it did open me horizons a little bit more.
Yeah.
Bigger gym.
More people.
More knowledge. Yeah. And it soon got that there was a good group of us.
Yeah.
Wanted to start competing.
I think you need that as well, don't you?
You did. It was nice.
You want to,
you grow, you gain from that.
You've got the right when you've got people of a certain mentality around you, and you're all pushing and supporting each other.
Yeah.
I've always had that in the gyms. It's always been one of the reasons I love training.
Yeah.
We've been around the lads, and for
competitive.
Yeah, or passing on that bit of knowledge, or helping people, or seeing people come in and want to get into it. So once you've got that nucleus, haven't you? Sort of there. It was, especially when you're that bit younger, and you're like, oh.
Oh well, yeah. All right. You might say some of the training was crazy. You want to. You do competitive lift. We know we're not powerlifters.
We still do it. Like, come on, there's not one of us in bodybuilding at a certain point not done a bit of ego lifting.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can't help it.
Yeah, as I say, the idea is eat a bit more and lift a bit more and build a bit more tissue.
Yeah.
That was the idea. As I say, they use better words for it nowadays, but it's some of the same logic, isn't it?
Same stuff,
you
innit?
eat a bit more and lift a bit more, and it'll build more. Work that bit harder.
So who was in that little group then? Was anybody who we can think went on, or was what from there? When did it sort of really start? When did you get into like British title times?
My God, it makes me sound like it took a long time of. I said before about the building and sculpting.
Yeah, no, but it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, I think it's worth reiterating, right? Physiques aren't built overnight.
Certainly not. No, I say when
Good physiques.
When I started, about 10.5 stone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm under 5'5", 5'4.5", right? So I've not got the biggest frame anyway. So, but the idea was, I say 10.5 stone. Believe it or not, people tell me I would look stocky then.
Yeah.
And I thought, we spoke earlier off camera about having dysmorphia.
Yeah.
I used to think, what are you on about? I'm bloody little.
I'm tiny, yeah.
I'm little Paul. People all my life, sadly, everyone who's tall is called Big John.
My mates are still going to the Cal Standard.
Yeah.
They look 6'4", 20 stone monsters.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Yeah, so being under 5'5", if there was another Paul in the group, I was little Paul, wasn't I?
Yeah, isn't it?
That's always been the way it was. So it was probably mid-90s, so 10 years or so before. Well, I'll say this for the camera, anyone who watches this. It was 9 years before I won a comp.
Right.
For which some people might have said, "Oh, what's the point in doing it? You're not winning now. Pack it in." But I love lifting. I love training. And I had to
test yourself.
I want to just keep pushing. You know what I mean?
I think if it's right, if you think you can just tip up and win a show, you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're a genetic freak, and we know there are people out there that are. Yeah. There are some phenomenal guys, but let's just say our average bodybuilder enthusiasts, our amateurs as we are, right? It takes a lot of hard graft.
Yeah.
I say hard graft. It's not hard because we love it, but you've got to go in and put the work in.
Of course you have.
Right, and I think this is the message I'm here with is for a younger audience who think that things just come easy, and it doesn't. You've got to get in there, do the work, you do the shows. The amount of shows that you've done, that level of knowledge and experience is you can't buy that, right? But you know yourself. You go in, you second, third, wherever you've come. You know there's work to do when you get off stage.
Yeah.
Right, you come back and we address those things next time, and it's always next time because that's what we were saying earlier about.
Like you're saying about, sorry, it's like you're saying about the small shows, the regionals, and all the rest of that. As I say, climb the ladder system, if you like. I say doing little local shows.
Yeah.
Then the idea was you feel you hear there's other shows and like say NABBA Northwest.
That's a big show. That's a big show. That.
So you say you do the Northwich show, you do the Mr. Wigan show, you do Mr. Pemberton, you do the Mr. York. These little gym shows they were really.
Mr. York, legend.
Mr. Stoke, a guy Phil Civic used to run that down there. So say you'd go to them, but they weren't NABBA shows. They weren't the bigger federations.
So I think
the IFBB was the.
Well, it was the IFBB, wasn't it? It was the IFBB and NABBA.
Yes.
Wasn't it? That's what we had. Or that was what was there at that point. And like you say, so again, being a York lad as I am originally, I made the joke the other week they had to move because they just produced big Class 1 monsters. We saw Eddie Sykes last week with again, and there's another one. So I'm clearly never going to be a Class 1 monster, so I'll move to Cheshire. Make it out what you want. But you did those regionals. So ours was the York show run by the House family, great friends of mine, people we aspired and looked up to. Brian was just a legend in the game when he competed with Arnold, and anybody was everybody. Paul's the same. But that show was, if you were an amateur bodybuilder in your local town, that's the one you wanted to do. You wanted that title of Mr. York, didn't you? Or Mr. Stoker, wherever it was you were going to be. And then you had, I think it was, do you remember the Mansfield Classic?
Yeah, Steve Riddick and Paul.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And that was the next step, because that was always just before, I think, one of the bigger...
Well, before it became an IFBB show.
Was that right?
Yeah, they had their own classic before.
That was
I think it became an IFBB show, yeah.
And then obviously with the NABBA stuff, it was always the NABBA North East for us. Yeah. So if you were good, and you were like, well, I've won the York, right? And then it was like the regionals NABBA. So if you won the NABBA North East, right, you were really good because you're off to British finals at that point, and that's another level altogether.
When you're doing the Mr. York and that, Mr. Wiggins, I would say, you dip your toe in the NABBA Northwest. I'm not getting top 6.
Yeah.
You had to dip your toe in to see where you were.
Yeah, totally.
And then come back drawing board, like you say, and try and get your condition a bit better, and go back another year, 2 years later,
and see where you're at with it. Again, we are back to this because obviously there's such a mass of variation opportunity now with to be able to step on a stage and compete. Yeah. That maybe that sort of, it doesn't quite work the same like it used to. And I'm not saying that it's nice to be able to reminisce and look at that through.
Oh yes,
because I love the nostalgic point of the graft and the progression to get onto that stage, right? And then to get to, and I've said this a few times, but specifically with like Housey, doing what he was doing with the FBB, and now like getting second, or not, and progressing and wanting to go on to be able to do worlds. Stu was, I was probably close to that because obviously he was out my age. Yeah. And he grafted. He went from being a junior, grafted to get tops. He obviously was. The first priority was to win the North East. Yeah. Right. And then obviously get top 3 and qualify. But it was win the North East. It wasn't about.
You have to do it a couple of times to climb up the pecking. To improve and get from, say, getting the top 6. Then getting the top 3 and qualifying.
I mean, he had some epic competition there. Yes. Class 1. Yeah, there was Dave Titterton was just before him. Yeah. And that was an awesome physique. So, and Dan Welburn chasing up behind him. Yeah. You know what I mean? They were the Class 1 monsters. But then he was, again, and the amount of respect I have for Stu for watching him work as hard as he did to get to that. But it's that bit of going, right, Britain, I want to get top 6. I want to get top 3. I want to win. And he did that. Yeah. And then go the world. And again win the world. And then to the universe. Win the universe. And I love that. Like an opportunity to be able to go and do that with a bigger stage, which is sorely lacking in a lot of bodybuilding in this country right now.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything wrong or derogatory, but for me, there's too many federations now. There's too many comps. And it's diluting audiences, diluting competitors. I can't say diluting the standard because that's wrong, isn't it?
There's a lot. Yeah,
it's getting spread out.
It's too spread out. I think this is a fairly common topic of conversation for anybody like us discussing it. There is a lot of opportunity there, so you can go one week and not do anything and go somewhere else and then get top 3, win, whatever that might be. I'm all for opportunity. Clearly it's good, but what you want to see is top athletes competing on a top stage. You want to see the best of the best all fighting it out, finite fucking decisions. You want to, and not that you want to be questioning the decision, but I want to be like, where's that? We saw it at the England last week. Yeah. Some of the classes in that, all the Misters class, the Class 1, the Class 2, Class 3, epic
battles,
proper battles.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about it in a commentary after interviewing the guys, and there's some that you just, and I'm going to bang the drum and say, I wouldn't want to call that. But you wouldn't, you're looking at it and going, where's that? Again, class 1. Eddie won class 1. I was made up for him because he brought a fantastic physique to that. Daz, who was a close second, and his time been better, I think it'd have been a closer decision, and then the big Ethan as well. But they're the sort of battles, right? And going back to what you were saying, I mean, who were you competing with at that point?
I say, my God, I said I did a good few IFBB shows myself.
Yeah,
Paul House.
Yeah,
Steve Avery.
Yeah,
John Hodgson.
Johnny,
Linville Miller. God, I want to say Stevie Crichton. I never competed against Steve directly at them time because it was high classes.
Yeah.
So it was weight classes with the IFBB, it was high class with NABBA. So in the high class with NABBA, as I say, I was class 4 being under 5'5".
Yeah.
Jason Corrick. Jason, yeah. Kamal Al-Ghani.
Yeah.
Won the 212 Olympia. Yeah. A year or two ago. Stevie Thompson.
Did you have a nemesis? Do you think, like, I mean, we all like we like the camaraderie, don't we? But there was somebody you were going up against. There was where you'd be like switching places with maybe, or you'd be going out.
That was it. You know, I said before, you'd go and try and get up the pecking order.
Yeah.
There's times you come back and they'd be at the same hub of people.
Yeah.
So the idea was to, shall I say, try and realise what you've lacked on. Yeah. Whether it be condition or a bit more size, and try and improve that for the next time, and try and overturn the decisions and that, you know.
Of course, you've got to go there to try and make it right in your own head, haven't you? It was like, I need to beat this person.
Yes.
Which was your favourite win? If you were to name one, because I mean, that 5 universities is pretty special, right? And again, of everything that you've won, was there one particular one that it just stands out in your mind as being, fuck yes?
I'd probably say the first universe.
Yeah.
That was winning me, I say 2006, that was winning me height class.
Right. Where was that?
They run it at Southport.
At Southport?
Yeah. From all over the world, there's been like 39, 40 countries represented at the union. Yeah. You know?
It was crazy back then as well, wasn't it? It really was.
You know, you didn't, to a great extent, you didn't know who was going to turn up.
No, you don't even know idea, because we were talking pre-social media, right? So you haven't got the ability to go on Instagram and see who else is winning or watch it.
No.
Right? You literally you're going, I've got to bring it because I do not know what's coming from where.
And that's where, I suppose, we spoke, I say off camera when we were on about the focusing on getting ready, you know, your prep for your competition. Your prep isn't that last 15 weeks. It's the years and that before building what you've got and then sculpting it and honing it, whatever word you want to use, and getting it right for that day, whether you, shall I say, going in full or going in more ripped, you know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever. But as I say, that was the thing. Your focus being, you want to do everything you can in the gym and in the kitchen, to get everything right. You've got no influence on anyone else.
No, of course not.
You've got to get yourself on stage as perfect, if that's the word, you know, as you can.
Well, we've all know there's no such thing as perfect, especially in our heads. But you've got to be where you do as best as you can with what you've got at that point.
What you've got is good enough to beat someone else. Yeah. So, yes, you've got this, yes, I'm going to win. Yeah, you know, I've got to win. I'm aiming to win. But then...
Well, no one turns up to come second, do they?
No, well, no. If you're that thought, you're going to turn up like a bag of shite. Well, you know what I mean? You're not going to be your best. No. If you're thinking half-hearted, well, you said, is there anyone you really wanted to beat? You didn't use them terms.
No, exactly that. Some people you just want to beat them.
The idea was you'd get in there as good as you could, because you couldn't think Phil Kane's going to be there, so I'm beaten already. Yeah. You can't have that. You can't have that. You've got to have a single-minded approach. I'm going there to win. If Phil's going to turn up, he better be at his best to beat me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to beat my best. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I do 100%.
Yeah. So as I say, you couldn't be fazed by anybody else. But shall I say, being the sport that it is, and we are a small community, really. If someone beats you, you shake their hand and say, "Well done, mate. You're good."
You can't. You can't. You can't do anything but appreciate someone that brings a better physique.
Yeah.
Especially if you're still on the same stage, right? There is a huge amount of respect and just an appreciation because we all know the graft and work that goes into that. Right? And the better man wins.
Yes.
On that day. Well, that's surely. I said this to Dan. So we do it in England the other week, and I knew you had other commitments, which. But you missed a corker. You did miss the corker. It was. I'm not going to say we're back to like the old days or anything else like that. Well, we're definitely back, moving in the right direction. Jim and Bal put a phenomenal show on. Bits again, everything's still got work. We're working it, but we're all moving in the right direction. The athletes were superb, and you'll see the interview. So I've done Class 2, so I'm still with Dan J. Smith Jr., who I asked to, who's a pal of ours and a pal of mine. I asked him to come and do some of the commentary with me because he's a great buzz with us.
Yes.
And I've got him, a Big Will, who won. Did he win this year? I think he did. I'm sure he no, he won. Sorry, Dan won this year. Will won last year, right? So both, last year's Mr. Brierley Class 2. This year's Mr. Brierley Class 2, right? Will couldn't do it this year. And I'm like, and he looked mint. And I'm thinking, I said to Dan, I went, does this pay on or what? Right? Because like that's a battle.
Yes.
And then Ricky come out, obviously won the class. And Ricky Varney was on another level. He obviously won the overall on the day. Phenomenal physique. But I'm like, I said to Dan, I went, this is going to be epic Class 2 at the uni.
Yeah.
That's sort of what you want to see. But the point I was trying to make is there must be points where you're like going into those shows as pre-qualifiers and you're seeing someone that's in your same class and you're thinking,
can we work out here?
I'm going to have to fucking work my tits off to get this, but I'm going to do it. It's like, I've got to bring it because he is.
Yeah.
You know, make for epic battle.
Yeah, well, I said about my first universe win. Sorry, I can't remember how many I'd done, but I'd probably done 3 or 4 universities at me.
I think you can be forgiven. You've won a lot
before I won, though. Yeah. So that's why I say that was my biggest win, because when you've got in it and not placing top 6, right? Then you do it and you come 5th.
Yeah. Then
you do it again, and I came 2nd. Then the year after came, I think it was 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. Wow.
Shit.
That must be
falling down. Or, so I've got then the different people there.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'd come backwards on getting beat by the same people. Different people turned up from different countries. You think, but then, as I say, and then to win it, you think, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably why it was the best one. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I say every time.
Well, that must have been hard. So having got 2nd and come back the year after, and then place 4th?
I think it was 4th.
And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, your backside falls out. You think, shit. No.
There must come a point in that where you sat there post the show and we were talking about we know what drives us on, that end goal, getting on there, and there's almost a massive downer, isn't there, when you've done it? Even if you've won, you're like, oof, I've done it. But if you've not, and you've like, is there a point where you're thinking of that going, I fucking give up, I've had enough?
Well, you're gutted. You think, get yourself up the arse a bit harder.
Yeah.
Get better next year.
Yeah. There's a difference.
That's it.
There's a difference between people that win multiple titles and those of us that don't.
Yeah, you have to learn to lose before you learn to win.
Fair play, I like that.
That's it. It's an old saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. The bitter pill to swallow.
I've had a fair few seconds, so I've never won one. Never won a show yet,
Have you not?
Never not.
Well, no. But that's what I mean. Imagine the utopia, mate, when you've done it, I say, a fair few times, and you get it. Because I kid you not, Phil, I will say this as an, and this is true as I'm sat here. I say, because, as I say, lost a fair few times. When he stood at back of stage, right? It's trophy time.
Yeah.
He stood at back of stage, right? I said, I was only watching 19 one the other night, actually. There's about 14 of us stood there, right? And they only named top 6, right? So 6th place, think I remember right, it was Bren, from Ireland. Fifth was Neil.
Yeah.
Fourth was Nigel Gowndry.
Yeah.
Third was Andy James. Second was Mark Anderson. I kid you not, mate, but after all the years of doing it, you stood at back of stage, right? And the name second, you still look around, you're thinking, so could be one of these.
Yeah. Until
you actually,
you're this second guessing yourself, thinking, wait a minute, I've got this wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he's, the same, it says, I'm sure a lot of people watching this, well, I hope people who are watching this, I'm sure, in one competition, that goes through your mind.
Yeah.
And that,
I've always done when it's the second. I'm like,
because, as I say, the doubt bit about it, and as we spoke before about the dysmorphia and that, and not being, there's no such thing as perfection.
No.
Because you've lost before, it's got that slight element of doubt in your mind.
Yeah. So you're always going to second guess yourself. We were speaking about this off camera, and getting the ADHD thing. Given I've got full ADHD, I think it's commonplace in bodybuilding. I said this to you. It's something we need to highlight a little bit more if people realise that we've got these perfectionism drivers, which is probably we're striving for dopamine all the time, which is why we like competing, because there's not really an end goal. There's always another one to strive towards. But we're always going to have this internal dialogue, which is again fairly common with the condition, where we're always telling ourselves we're not good enough, right? So you stood there, your top 5 have already been called. Mm-hmm. In your head, because you've got the experience, that it's really you.
It should be you.
Should be you.
Yeah.
Right? Unless somebody's really got it wrong, right? And you're still going, you're not good enough.
Mm. Yeah, whatever it is, back of your head, yeah.
And that can be quite debilitating, I think. But mate, you've come away with loads. I mean, you're still massively involved in bodybuilding. I mean, you judge with NABBA, don't you?
Yeah, I'm judging Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super, Joe. That's how I first met you. Was with one of the shows. I was like, oh, Paul Sutton.
Yeah, well, I say, for the love of it. As you know, we don't get paid. We don't get travel expenses. It's giving something back.
Yeah, totally.
It's supporting the game and wanting. I say this. You said before about trying to encourage the youngsters to get into it. I felt like going on a crusade since the COVID pandemic
nonsense
situation.
Nonsense. I'm just saying it's nonsense and move on.
I say whatever has happened a little bit, the numbers have fell off. As you said, the England is climbing back. Let's hope the numbers will climb and get better. Getting to the youngsters, as you mentioned, I don't know. I'd love to get the word out there to teenagers. There are plenty of teenagers who go to the gym. I'm going to get into lifting. It's a thing that you either like or you don't. To start lifting and get that feeling in your body of enjoying lifting.
It's a massive focus. Again, I said this on camera at the England with Dan, where we talk about mental health thing. I know it's something I talk about a lot, about the openness about it. I think the more we talk about it, the less problematic it becomes. And it was for all of the troubles I've had historically, it was always a place I start. Yeah. Right. So my build back point is back in the gym. And the focus, the structure, the ability, the feeling of completion, succeeding something. There's no such thing as a bad gym session, as long as it gets done. Mm-hmm. Right, and I genuinely believe that it's the what it can do for your own mental health just is phenomenal. There's nothing close to physical exercise on any level, but personally, lifting weights and improving the way we look, it's got again, it does it for me personally.
Yeah.
But it's about that. We talk about the younger lads, and we saw young Kellen and young Gull as well. 2 young guys there, 18, 19, juniors, teens, just literally, must be days or weeks separating them two. 2 exceptional physiques for their age. Young Kellen clearly understands, he has a massive passion for bodybuilding, understands. It was, again, his first show he'd done NABBA, and he was like, I just want to be involved in this historic institution. Take that for what you think.
Yeah.
But that's he did. He was really passionate about it. It was really pleasing to see. And I know we've missed within NABBA specifically. We've missed being able to communicate that message to a generation through the means of social media, which is why we start doing these types of things. I think it's important that we highlight legendary athletes like yourself who've been there, done it, still doing it. You know,
hopefully try to inspire. Yeah.
You know, so it's like you because like when you won the titles, it was at the peak. I would say we talked about really two federations: IFBB, that became UKBFF, and NABBA.
Yeah,
right, and that was it. There wasn't two brands. PCA. I mean, they're clearly the two biggest at the moment, but they're without the heritage. And that's not me taking anything away. I think what the guys at the PCA have done is phenomenal. Two Bros is a different ball game altogether, you know.
A lot about them, really. But
they're very, very busy shows, you know. That's and if you want to go down that route with the IFBB, then I suppose that's your thing. What frustrates me, is probably not wrong, is that we're amateur bodybuilders, the majority of us. You know,
we all are, Phil.
Yeah, exactly. But so chasing an IFBB title, was the epitome of whether or not you were fucking good,
genetically gifted.
Again, that as well.
Yeah.
So we look back at the people that the top pros that went on to be IFBB pros all came through a NABBA stage.
Yes,
pretty much.
Bridge Park, John Grimmick, Arnold, Franzine. Good God, keep going.
Keep going.
Lumbo.
Yeah.
Bill Pearl, sorry. He trained Arnold, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right through the years.
Right through the years. You literally. Yeah. So I mean, we could bring it up to a more you know, Flex Lewis. Yeah, Flex was there at that point. Obviously, Nathan Diasher,
who's in the Olympian in a few weeks' time.
Again, probably one of the best.
Bodybuilders,
British bodybuilders we've produced in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
and you know, he's phenomenal. But they'd all done it on an NABBA stage, and my point was this: is that they'd all done everything they could do.
Little shows as well.
Yeah, exactly that.
But the biggest stage
was the NABBA.
Shall I say? Yeah, the biggest test.
Once you got to the NABBA Universe bit, right, and you'd won those titles, it was like, well, where's my progression from here? So you could clearly go down the NABBA Pro route, which we know the Pro Series isn't the same in NABBA as an it's just
no,
it's just not. That's not. It's an amateur organisation. Or you go down the IFBB route, which is clearly where you want to be if you're going to go pro status.
Yes.
And again, that's not me talking down anything. That's just fact.
If you want to chop this out or not, right? Professional. The situation I've got now, and there is a frustration I will talk about now. People are getting pro cards, giving them like they're giving birthday cards. Professional, for me, if you look, I'm going to read the dictionary. Professional means professional status, being that you get you're getting a full wage, if you like, all your life is eat, sleep, train.
Let's remember,
right, to a big extent.
Yeah, but let's remember that when you get pro status, when you're in the early stages of getting a pro card and being able to go and compete on that IFBB circuit, right? A lot of it's self-funded.
Yeah, that's
right. So you're not, but you still. But what I'm saying with that is, if you've got that and you're chasing that, then good on you, because you're chasing the full pro thing.
Yeah, definitely.
My issue is that a lot of people get these things and do nothing with it. So where the value and the prestige of an IFBB pro card. I mean, you were ultimately the best.
I won.
Did you?
I won 2010. I won the FBB Britain.
Right.
Well, I'll say it. Well, I'm not rubbishing myself, because I earned my.
You earned the title, the pro card.
Back in them days, back in the end of the 90s, you asked me about good people around. There was, I mentioned Steve Avery before, Stevie Crichton, Lyndall Miller, Sean. Oh, Sean, sorry for forgetting your surname, mate.
I have the same problem.
Jamal Nazar.
Yeah.
But the point was, there was a time when there was, Eddie Abu.
Yeah, fair play.
In the end of the 90s, there was probably about 10 very good, Dorian at the beginning of the 90s, yeah. I mentioned the Shelmadines before.
Yeah.
Alex Brooks. There was a load of them, and there was only one pro card given.
Yes.
The overall winner at the IFBB. So the IFBB decided we're going to give, I think it was 4 or 5 pro cards.
Right.
Light heavyweight, middleweight, light heavy,
I didn't know all
heavyweight,
this. This is really interesting.
And a lady.
Right.
I think it was 5. So it stepped into it. I think we started about 2000, 2001.
Right.
So 2002, I won the light heavies.
Yeah. What weight's that at? Like
under 90s.
Under 90s?
Yeah. Ricky Welling won the overall that day. He was heavyweight.
Yeah.
A blind guy. He was incredible. Fantastic with Ricky. I say he won the overall. So as I say, I won a pro card. It just happened to be at a time, and I say I'm telling you the truth. The truth is not here. I didn't have a sponsor. Right?
Yeah.
Sponsorship is hard to get.
It was even harder back then.
Oh, it was hard. Yeah, I will if I can name some sponsors.
Look, this is just us. So you name away.
As I said, sadly, I actually won the NABBA Worlds in 2001 in Austria.
Yeah.
Where Arnold grew up.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Well, that's where it's next year, isn't it?
Yeah. 2002, I say I won the FBB Pro card. I was sponsored by Tropicana from Birmingham.
Yeah.
A great guy called Dave McInerney.
With Tropicana went on to be one of the bigger distributors, didn't they?
Massive.
Massive still are, I think.
Of Metarex and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm saying God bless Dave, so he died of leukemia just before I won my pro card.
Wow.
And he sponsored me for a year or so. So shall I say, I'm not saying this selfishly, and I don't mean it in a bad way whatsoever, but my sponsorship got pulled because Dave passed away. God bless him, right? So I didn't have a sponsorship. Ronnie Coleman was winning the Olympia.
Yeah.
So when I won the pro card, I decided not to take it.
Right. Well, no,
to go and compete against Ronnie, Jay.
This is before the 2-on-2s as well.
Yeah.
Because there
was no 2-on-2.
There was no 2-on-2 then. You'd have probably done really well in.
I'm 14 stone.
Yeah.
Competing against, I would have been going against, to say, the names you just named.
Yeah. Lee Priest.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, as I say, I think I would look like for me, dysmorphia again, I would look like a little boy. So, as I say, I don't have sponsorship anyway. You were offered a green card, a 10-year green card.
Was you really?
America. Yeah. So that was an incentive, but I'd have to go out there and get a job, wouldn't I?
Do something.
I say young family. My daughter was what? She'd be 14 by then, 15. So I say, certain circumstances, many circumstances, I decided not to take the pro card. Because, again, get back to the pro professional thing I was on about before. Where did my money come from? I wasn't getting a sponsorship deal. You know, I was told at the time, the Olympians, shall we say, most of them were on like £250,000 sponsorship deal a year.
Right.
You know?
Do you think that was...
and all that.
Do you think a lot of that was the facts and truth? Because we again, as time's moved on and we read back and we hear these stories, it's a fairly common, maybe misconception that everybody thought the pros were on massive money.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
But that was what we perceived it to be, because we had no other way of knowing any different. Especially over being all based in the States, and that was like you went over there, you went as dough, and if you didn't have a sponsorship, you were never doing it, or you weren't going to be able to compete at that level. And obviously, we read the memoirs and the books of some of the guys who compete at that level, and it was a hard graft. Look at Ronnie Winkler. He was, he really struggled for a lot of years just to get to be where he wanted to be with it. But but I mean, don't get me wrong. We all know that when you're a top pro and you're in that there's the guys who are in serious dough, like you do. You're a professional at the top of your game. maybe not enough.
No,
Given the level that the amount of sacrifice and work that goes in it, and the short time frame you've got to be a top bodybuilder. But I think the original start of the conversation was like to get that and not want to do anything with it. Like you say, you just relinquished it because you were like, I can't do out with it.
Let's be real.
I want to be, and would that have stopped you then competing at amateur level again? Because you got broke out.
Can't do both.
Yeah.
I say, I am on universe by then.
Right.
And that was, as I say, you saying about the history and all the rest of that. Yes, the winning the Britain with the IFBB was a big one.
Yeah.
But say, the universe, the history, like you say, Reg Park, Arnold, all them were in your mind from when you first started lifting the weight. You were a kid.
Yeah.
So as I say, that being the route, I thought, that's the obvious route.
There is something historically special about that universe title.
Yes.
And we're not talking all the people that jumped on the bandwagon and called themselves the universe. There is only one, it's the NABBA universe, right? That's it. Right? It is the pinnacle peak of amateur bodybuilding. It's the biggest trophy in amateur bodybuilding, and you put yourself in an elite group of bodybuilders if you stand on the stage, and a more elite group if you win a title, and an even more elite group if you win 5.
Probably so, yeah. But
very much so.
Another point I'll say is this. You go out, say we went out in the street now, you stop the next person who walks by and said to him, what is Mr. Olympia? You might think that's your surname. You say, what do you think is Mr. Universe?
I totally agree. People know what it is.
The top of bodybuilding.
It is.
And that is somewhat, that'd be a 6-year-old lady walking up the road who doesn't know anything about going to the gym or like that.
Just, again, even younger, I think that's the sort of there's the messages that we're trying to again reiterate to people, is that to be able to stand on that stage, it's a progression through standing on a NABBA stage, a regional, which is opened up for next year, so you don't have to go and do your regional show.
You can qualify.
You can qualify at any, which I think's a good move.
Yep.
I think it allows you to go and do, or if you've not managed earlier on, go and compete again. And try and put it right and get that qualification, get to the Britain, and then obviously be on the big stage.
I agree with that, mate.
I was really pleased that that's changed. I think there's some exclusions. You can't go, should we say, trophy hunting? So you can't.
Well, if you're qualified, you shouldn't need to do another.
No, but I think you excluded that. And I completely agree. I think that's great practice, because it we're not taking.
You're depriving someone else of a position, aren't you? If you get the top 3
completely. You've already qualified. Don't bother. Right, go and focus on the big job.
Yeah.
I think next year's going to be really interesting in NABBA. And I love. We're involved with what we do with a lot of bodybuilding federations.
Yes.
And it's a privilege. It really is a privilege. I'm more involved now than I've ever been in 20 odd years of being around bodybuilding and being involved with it. And I think we say about there's a lot of choice out there. I can honestly say, hand on heart, everyone that I'm involved with has bodybuilding and athletes at the very heart of everything they're doing. Yeah. And I think that's important. You know, so so no point. I don't think there's too much choice. Certain things need to maybe be addressed, but I think when you've got the right mantra and you're trying to do something a little bit different, then fair play to you, and whatever will be. Yeah. But then with history comes credibility, and that's what an NABBA stage gives you.
Yeah.
Most definitely. You can, again, stand there proud that you've stood on the stage that some of the best, if not the best bodybuilders that there has ever been, has stood on. And this is something I've said, and I'm going to continue to say, because, again, it's a fact, right? Bodybuilding does not exist in its format the way it is now without NABBA as an institution.
No.
It wouldn't be where it is. No. It wouldn't have got to the level that it is without what was invested by the people that have been behind the scenes for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And this sort of them is still there. It's still actively involved, still passionate about it, but there's progression coming. There's progression there. But I think you've got to appreciate that if you love this sport, without these guys, this place doesn't exist.
No, as we said before, to say some names, Jim Charles.
Jim
and Val.
Perfect legend. Lovely people.
Brian Robinson.
Yeah. Again.
Hazel.
Yeah.
Good God, there's so many. Names of old. Ivan Dunbar from Ireland. Obviously, a lot of them are past now. You know, the names that...
Do you know what I love?
Oscar Heidenstone.
What I love about NABBA, not just about the international stage, is that you've got, obviously, with Jim and Brian and Hazel and Val, we've spoken about there, and it's great because they've just got this.
Oh, passion, deep passion.
Still deep passion.
In the 80s.
And then you've got people like your good self, you know, that have walked the walk, talked the talk. Eddie, you know, everybody else who's actively involved. Everybody on the judging panel is there because they love bodybuilding. Yeah. They've all done their accreditations. They're there to understand, to make sure that there's fair judging. It's just, I think it's just great to see that level of organisation, passion and progression. I mean, what else? I mean, you obviously judge at the shows, which is great. I've seen some of the athletes you've prepped over the years. We were on about Neil, weren't we? For those,
Neil Chapman?
Yeah, Neil Chapman.
Yeah.
Over 55s winner at the England.
Yeah, the guy who come third, Jeff Lathwaite as well.
Yeah.
He actually trained at the gym I'm at.
Right.
So I
don't think I got a chance to speak to Jeff, to be fair. So
yeah, well, I say Jeff's 57, 58 now.
Yeah.
In all his days, and Jeff's been around a long time.
Yeah.
He's got a lovely shape, lovely condition. He'd never qualified for universe before.
Right.
So he's on cloud nine.
Nice to get that.
You know?
Yeah. Fully, I get it.
Yeah. Well, as you say, good God.
I think we talked.
God knows how many I've prepared through the years, you know.
And still do. I think there's a message that's worth, again, banging here, is that there's a lot of online coaches now. There's a lot of people out there that aren't that great. There's some that still are. There's some great online coaches out there. I've met a lot of them. And then there's people with years of experience, years of knowledge that maybe aren't that great on social media, and you definitely tick that last box.
In the big tick, yeah. Well, I'm not to bore you too much with it.
Bore me as much as you want, because you're not boring me.
Yeah? You know, we said about only having a muscle news once a month. You know, that's where you get a bit of momentum. I've driven 100 miles.
What you used to do with Paul to go and see Kerry.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you did.
We mentioned Steve Riddick before in Mansfield. You used to go and see Steve.
Yeah.
God.
Did we complete with Chambers? With Ian Chambers? Was he?
Yeah. Wilkinson, yeah.
Chem, can't. Yeah. He's another. He's a legend.
I don't want to say wild card, Ian. I don't want to tell you, mate. But,
let's not say
he's a cracking lad.
We've got a lot of time for Ian. He's a super guy, he's Chem.
But yeah, as I say, back in them days, you'd travel, or you'd get shows, and you'd have a chat with people. We'd be back, in changing rooms, when you're getting ready. People who shall I say, you're there with them, and you try and gather information. But the point was, no one did that.
No,
it wasn't. You did it for the love of the game.
Yeah,
and to help other people out, because the way I've always seen it is this game of ours. It could be a short-lived thing. I've been in it 40 years, and thank God, I'm not between. But every time could be your last time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot of people in this, and the way I see it now is, if I can help somebody, I was speaking to a young lad from Crewe last night, if I can help him out in one way, teach him one thing, right, to help him in his future, I'll do it. It's not about money. It's a matter of him trying to reach his potential. As we said before, you get on stage the best you can. If someone beats you, you shake their hand and say, well done, you beat me, right? The point is, we all want to be the best can be. Yeah,
100%.
But every time, as I say, every time might be your last time. So let's help everyone to be the best can be, not in bodybuilding, but in life as well.
No, I agree with you, Nat. 100% with that. I think it's you see, I think think we suffer with certain things because you're the same. We're very similar in a lot of ways, right? Because we do it for love and just to help a human being, right? Regardless of forget about the bodybuilding thing, right? If you're a mate of mine and you're struggling with something, I might ring me up, come out, take the day out, right? I'm lucky enough to be able to do that, and it doesn't need monetizing at that point because I'd rather see another human being be better or get better, or not be in a dark, horrible place. And that's the humanity in us, and I think that's special.
Yeah,
I really do. I also think that there's, when you've got a skill set and a knowledge base that's as deep and as intricate as yours, then clearly monetizing it is, or being paid for your knowledge and experience is without doubt what you should be getting. How much should I charge? £100 an hour? £200 an hour? I don't. You know what? For 4 years experience? I don't know. I generally don't. I think there's we'll probably do this off camera at some point and look at what general fees are for people, what they charge these. I think anywhere from. Well, it seems to be anywhere from 100 to 400 quid a month, depending on who you are.
I personal train, I charge £30 an hour.
Yeah.
That's for a training session. In that session, I'll answer any question, and very often that hour will take an hour and a half. You know what I mean? And this is the thing, as I say, a bit of posing practice, whatever else, it comes as part of the situation. Yeah. Now, okay, some people just say fitness training, right? But as I say, if they want to reach the stage, whether it be the first time, whatever else, he's trying to improve them. But as I say, trying to equate the cost. Yeah. And you just said, I take the thing of doing it sometimes for nothing. Yeah, because I love it. I know. It's a love thing. It's a love and a passion. Well, it's I think again, I'd hate to see people take advantage of that kindness. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. I know. And I stood right with Neil interviewing backstage. I stood talking to him. I tanned him the night before. It was the first time we'd had a tan by us, and he was. I know you spoke very highly of us, which I appreciate. He looked brilliant. He looked awesome, right? And he just. This is a thing when you meet certain people within bodybuilding that just have this special effect on people, right? Where it's not just respect, it's love. Where these guys, there is like he was when he walked off that stage. He was there. The win was for his dad. He was immensely proud and we couldn't talk enough about how much you'd helped him. Get ready and stuff, and how much you pushed him on, telling him reminding him that he was better than what he thinks. It goes back to this whole thing of emotional dysregulation that we have, telling ourselves we're not good enough. We need sometimes that third person to say, "Fucking hell, mate." Yeah. You can't see what you clearly can't see what I can see. Yes. Yeah. I just think that's an extremely special quality to have, not just from a coach, but from a person, especially from somebody who clearly you massively respects. And I just, again, I think that's if you're looking to work with somebody and you're a bodybuilder trying to get somewhere in the game, you need to look for knowledge and experience and depth and somebody that's not there just to take your pound notes. Yeah. Well, Neil lives in Birmingham, so he tries about 80 miles up. Yeah. See us every. Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm good friends with Carlos Citron. Yeah. So I'm on the phone to him regularly. Yeah. I've done for a couple of years, I say a few years, I've known Carlo now. He lives by Brian, actually. Right. Brian Robinson. Shall I say, I'm going to smile there because there's a bit of a conflict of interest at the universe. Good friends with Neil. Yeah. Good friends with Carlo. Yeah. Good friends with Jeff. I'm going to have to take a back seat. Obviously, I will not judge them. Yeah. NABBA will pull me out of that class. Is that how that works? Because I've never had anything to do with judging. Yeah, I say I don't want to judge that. Well, to go into judging a little bit without being over the top, as a judge with NABBA, and this is probably an interesting point, a crucial point. We're judged as judges. Yeah, no. Right? We have to sit 6 supernumeraries Around about 6 supernumeraries to get accreditation, if you like.
Yeah.
To be real, shall I say, to pass the tests.
Yeah.
Being able to show you're not blind.
Competently for your judge class, the criteria.
So, as I say, you judge the judges. Eddie has a system of judging judges.
Right.
And he does it, and if you're not good enough, without being rude, he'll say you're not good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Fair play, though, isn't it?
And that's how it should be.
Surely as an athlete, you want to know that somebody making sure the judges understand.
Yeah. Because I dare say, we spoke about small comps, local comps before.
We've done a few there.
The guy who owned the comp would ask his 4 or 5 of his mates to say,
of course we did.
Who just trained the gym, but probably never judged his comp before in their lives. Now, no disrespect to them, but...
I've put shows on, right? The early IBFA shows, the York ones. We resurrected the York show, Dave Foster and I. Stu was busy. I think he was still chasing the universe title at that time. He was like, I'm too busy. But we managed. The first one we ever put on was in a working men's club, right? And Dave and I tipped up on the morning, and the guy who ran the club was still battered from the night before. The place was a mess. Dave was working at Power Body at the time in York. We had Dave sponsors for the trophies. Charlie Garfers and GSN Gold Standard Nutrition. He sponsored we managed to cobble this show together, right? And the level of athlete that turned up was ridiculous. Right? It was low. I think we must have had on the day, I think we had either 80 to 100, right? The stage wasn't big enough. In the audience, there was Steve Johnson, who I think he'd not long since won the Britain at that point. There was Ian Chambers had come. Nathan D'Astra just won his pro card, and he stood in the audience. There was... obviously, Stu was judging. This is going back to your point, right? So I've got Stu judging, and it was like all the lads who ran the gyms who judged, Who else was in there? It was... trying to think who else was in there. Danny Wellman might have been there as well. Whatever it was, right? I got stuck with doing the music, right? Because I have 20 years of DJ experience. Crap job, just in case anyone's wondering, right? The bar's open. It's standing room only. Everyone's got a beer, right? It was out of anything I've done, I was like, this is nuts. And Steve Johnson stood next to me and went, it's not bad, this, Phil. I was like, thanks, mate. We had again, the show was great, but the point was, you got your mates to judge. Martin had come doing the compare. It was epic. For I don't think we ever managed to replicate that. It put such good fun. And I remember I stood with a pint when I was still drinking back then. I don't drink anymore. And I stood and I went to Dave and I went, I can't believe who's not just the standard athlete on the stage, but who's in the audience? It was crazy. There was no system of who was there to judge. It was like, you're a good bodybuilder, that'll do. But it's nice to know when you're on because again, that's a small stage. It was very much a small stage back then. It was a very small stage in the venue, right? That when you're on a bigger stage, getting judged at top final, so there's a judging process, there's a judging panel. I know Tim, he's a qualified judge as well, and plenty of others. And then there's a system behind it that everyone's the adjudicators are being adjudicated. Yes. So you know that when it comes to a decision, and there is always, you'll see this. You must see every show that you're at where one wants to know why they maybe got second, why they scored. And you want to be able to understand where that decision's come from, especially if it's one that you're not... well, you can ask for feedback. And you get feedback. And as I said, NABBA, this system, I'm sure it should work in other federations, that there's a system of, shall I say, there's 9 judges, or there might be 11 or even 13 at the universe. Because every country will bring a judge, right? Or 2, But the point is, Eddie will have a system, and he will spell judges. Do you see what I mean? So you won't, as I say, I'm judging this year. I will not judge every class, because the idea is everybody gets to do some judging. Everyone who's got a qualified judge. Now, to eliminate bias, because there has been situations of bias in the past. The best and last scoring sheets, shall we say, are taken out. To eliminate bias.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure in time they've actually done it with two, the best two and the worst two.
Right. Okay.
You say to eliminate bias. I don't. Well, I may get it slightly wrong here, but the point is, at times, I want to compare it to Eurovision, where a lot of them countries sort of vote for their own. Say there has been some ugly bias in the times. So, as I say, I think there's been times when they've pulled the best two and the worst two, and that will eliminate any bias, won't it?
Of course it does. Well, you'd like to hope so, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah. So, say the system is in place. I keep saying that, Elwood. He's the man who does it. I've done for as many years as I can think of.
Yes.
He's got this system in place that is totally impartial, and as fair can be. So I'm okay. I'm blowing the trumpet for NABBA. I'm sure the other federation will have that.
The federations will have their own things, but we can only talk about what we know about, right? And that's the whole point of being able to have these discussions. Is we're talking about what goes on within the federation of NABBA, and I'm sure at other points I will sit down with other, because again I like these sort of conversations. I like to see the inner workings of how everything goes and make sure everyone's got a fair and opportunity to have the same discussions. But we're passionate about this particular organisation, and that's what we're talking about today. And I think but again, with history comes experience. Yeah. And with experience comes implementation. Yeah. So it's I think again it's a strong and worthy message to put out there. This one was about you. I was really, really made up that you took the time out of your day to come and spend. I will sit here all day and talk this with you, mate. Oh, we can. But I'm going to make sure that within this post, when it goes out there, we'll make sure that your social feeds, your contacts are there for anybody that's looking for somebody with the knowledge and experience and the credibility, and having been there, done it, won it more than once. If they're coaching wise, then they can get in touch with you.
Sure, give me
give you a shout and just have
anybody can.
Yeah, no, you will. I think, but that's important to make sure that's on there. I just want to say thanks, mate.
Cheers, Phil.
It's an absolute pleasure. Anybody watching this, any comments you want to drop in there, please do. If you want us to do this again, I'm happy to do this again with Paul. Oh, no problem whatsoever.
I'll say one more thing.
Of course,
I've dropped a lot of names in there. I apologise for missed anyone. I say forgotten. I'm sure I'm not forgotten, but I say I've missed some names. Good God, the amount of friends I've made in the game, influences, people I've trained with, gyms I've been at. Good God, I probably couldn't name them all in an hour.
Mate, you've made such an influence on so many
people. It's a great
people.
bodybuilding family.
Yeah, and again, I have never met anybody who has anything other than amazing things to say about you.
Thank you.
And that's true. I've just helped them out, talked them through stuff, or just again from the level that you've competed at. It's just nothing but positive stuff, and it's been a privilege and a pleasure for me to spend an hour or so just talking about it on film and out before. So thanks for that. Thanks for everybody that's took the time to watch this. We appreciate it. Weirdly, you guys do watch these things, so I'm going to keep doing them because I love talking about this stuff with great people. Any ideas or suggestions, pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to look at them. And if we can pick them up, then we will. But other than that, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.